Dear all, welcome to this video. Please hit the subscribe button so that you automatically get updates for upcoming videos and lectures. Thank you. Enjoy watching.
So these are the learning outcomes of today's chapter. Learners will be able to differentiate between different branches of microbiology. Learners will be able to understand the basis of classification of microorganisms. Learners will be able to differentiate between bacteria, fungi, algae, virus and protozoa. And they will be able to define the role of microbiology in pharmaceutical industry. Now, what does this word microbiology means? This word is divided into three parts, that is micro, bio and logy. Micro indicates the size of the organisms, that is in microns, that is 10 to minus 6 meter. Bio means living organisms and logy means study. So when you club up this word, it indicates study of living organisms whose size is in microns, which can be seen by microscope. This term was introduced by a scientist called as Louis Pasteur, who was also called as the father of microbiology. Microbes are present everywhere, that is in air, soil, water, living organisms, non-living organisms. Now this microbiology term is very broad and it has sub-branches. The branches of microbiology is divided into two, that is pure sciences and applied sciences. Pure sciences usually include the branches which are related to the study of morphology of that organism. Example, bacteriology, study of bacteria, mycology, study of fungi, protozoology, study of protozoa, phycology, study of algae, parasitology, study of parasites. Microbial taxonomy is the study of classification of microorganisms. That is, depending upon the different criteria, the microbes can be classified. Next is genetics, which usually includes the study of genetic material of organisms. That is, whether it contains DNA, RNA, single-stranded, double-stranded. And last is the immunology, which usually includes the study of host defense mechanism and how the host can overcome a particular infection or how it can prevent the entry of that particular microbe which causes infection. Next is the applied branches. Now it usually includes the study of application of these microbes. For example, first is medical microbiology, all the organisms which causes diseases. So their study in order to find out a remedy to it is known as medical microbiology. Pharmaceutical microbiology, again it is almost similar to medical microbiology for the invention of medicines. Industrial microbiology, it usually includes the study of microbes which are usually involved in fermentation process for production of beverages, alcohols, etc. Microbial biotechnology, it deals with the study of genetic material of that particular microbe and how mutations are caused in that particular microbe and how you can overcome those mutations. Next is food microbiology. It generally deals with the microbes which are involved in the food processing industry. For example, transformation of milk to curd, that is a fermentation process, or transformation of sugar molasses to alcohol. Next is soil microbiology. It generally deals with the study of microbes which are present in the soil and which are beneficial for agriculture purpose. Next is agricultural microbiology. It generally deals with the study of microbes which are beneficial to agriculture or which are responsible for production of plant stimulants, for example gibberellin, thymine, etc. Next is aquatic microbiology. So the study of microbes which are present in water, that is in sea, rivers, lakes, etc. is involved in aquatic microbiology. Air microbiology, it generally deals with the microbes which are present in air. And last is epidemiology, it generally deals with the microbes which causes infections in epidemic form. Now we will see how these microorganisms are classified. So there was a scientist called as Aristotle in around 4th century BC. He first categorized the organisms into plants and animals. The ones which were non-motile were introduced into plants, and the others which were motile were introduced into the animals. Later on, in 1735, a scientist called as Carolus Linnaeus, he found out two kingdoms, that is Kingdom Plantae and Kingdom Animalia. Later on, in around 1800, E.H. Haeckel, he introduced a new kingdom called as Protista, which generally includes protozoa, that is prokaryotic microorganisms. Now the difference between prokaryotic and eukaryotic microorganisms is prokaryotic do not have defined nucleus, whereas eukaryotic has defined nucleus. Protista usually included bacteria, algae, fungi and protozoa except virus. Later on, as I told you, unicellular bacteria were classified into prokaryotes and eukaryotes. And at the end, Whittaker was a scientist who found out 5 kingdom concept, which included 5 kingdoms, namely Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. So usually Monera kingdom included all prokaryotic microorganisms. Kingdom Protista contained all eukaryotic microorganisms, and all those eukaryotic were further classified into fungi, Plantae and Animalia. So Kingdom Protista usually included unicellular eukaryotic, and fungi, Plantae, Animalia were multicellular eukaryotic organisms. Next is the Bergey's Manual of Systematic Bacteriology. There was a scientist called as Bergey who divided the bacteria into 4 divisions depending upon the cell wall. So division 1, which is also called as Gracilicutes, it had thin skin, that is with complex cell wall structure. Example was gram-negative bacteria. Division 2, that is Firmicutes, with strong skin, that is with cell wall structure. Example is gram-positive bacteria. Division 3 was Tenericutes, that is soft or tender skin, which did not include any cell wall. And Division 4 was Mendocicutes, which had skin with faults, that is the cell wall was not entire and whole, it was unusual, it may have gaps in between. Now we will see the 5 major groups of microorganisms. First is bacteria. Bacteria usually includes all the organisms which are unicellular, that is single cell and free living. They are present in water, air, food, soil and all the natural habitat, and they can be grown on artificial culture media, and they reproduce by binary fission. Binary fission is the process where mother cell gets divided into 2 daughter cells. Next is Rickettsia. Now Rickettsia are small gram-negative bacteria which have properties of both bacteria as well as viruses. They are transferred to the humans through arthropods and are cultivated in living tissues. And they are obligate intracellular parasites which usually multiply by binary fission. Obligate means compulsory. Intracellular means they will grow inside the cell, they cannot grow outside the cell. And parasite means they require host cell to grow. Next is actinomycetes. Now actinomycetes are gram-positive bacteria with fungal morphology. These are non-motile, they cannot move from one place to another. They are non-capsulated, they do not have capsular envelope and filamentous. They are rich source of antibiotics, enzymes, biosurfactants, enzyme inhibitors, plant food stimulants, biodegradation of agricultural and urban waste. They are also found in soil, water and compost. Next is fungi. Now fungi are eukaryotic microorganisms. They are simple oval cells. Either they can be oval in shape or they can be tubular in shape. And they may have branching or they may lack branching. They are Aerobic and facultatively anaerobic. Facultatively anaerobic means optional. In some cases, if there is absence of oxygen, still they can grow. And they can reproduce by both sexual and asexual processes. Next is protozoa. Protozoa is a unicellular eukaryotic microorganism. Its size ranges from 2 to 20 microns and it can be cultivated on lab media. These are also compulsorily parasites and they require large amount of moisture for growth and activity. That's why we observed that the protozoa usually grows in some rainy season and they can reproduce by asexual as well as sexual processes. Next is algae. Now algae are unicellular or multicellular aerobic eukaryotic microorganisms. They usually occur in aquatic environment. They contain chlorophyll and hence they are responsible for photosynthesis and they can produce their own food. They reproduce again by both sexual and asexual processes and they are also used as food supplements for consumption. Next is viruses. Now viruses are non-cellular small organisms. They are called as non-cellular because they only contain the genetic material in the form of DNA or RNA. No other cell organelles are present in viruses. For their growth, they usually use host cell organelles. They are around 10 to 100 times smaller than bacteria and they are intracellular parasites. They cannot go outside the host cell and they contain nucleic acid in the form of DNA or RNA and a protein cover in order to protect the genetic material. Now is the time to reflect and think. Consider this question: what are the applications of microbiology in pharmaceutical field? Just pause the video and write down your answers in the notebook. Once you are done, resume the video and continue. Now we will see the applications and scope of pharmaceutical microbiology. How these microbes play an important role in pharma background. First is production of antibiotics. So many antibiotics like penicillin, streptomycin have been synthesized from microbe Penicillium notatum, Streptomyces graecosus. So these microbes play a very important role in production of antibiotics. Then production of enzymes, vaccines, biosurfactants, alcoholic and other pharmaceutical products. Many enzymes like lipase, peroxidase are produced by enzymes. Vaccines, that is usually prophylactic vaccines, are produced by microbes. That is, you use usually live or attenuated strain of that microbe and vaccinate a particular individual as a prophylactic nature. Biosurfactants are the products or they are the usually waste metabolites produced by the bacteria or fungi and they have cleansing property. Hence they are called as biosurfactants. They are usually used more in leather industry. Then alcohols and other pharmaceutical products. Diagnosis of disease and treatment. There are many tests like ELISA, Vidal, which are used for diagnosis of diseases like HIV and typhoid. So in all these cases we usually use the antigen of that microbe, hence the microbe is required in that case. Next is treatment of industrial waste material. Now whatever waste material is usually introduced or produced by the industries is let down into the rivers and that may lead to pollution. In order to overcome that, there are microbes which can also degrade this industrial pollutants. Example is a bacteria called as Streptomyces lavandulae. It can degrade the metal like cyanide, which is very toxic and harmful to human beings. Next is plant growth promotion. There are many plant growth stimulants like gibberellin, thymine, riboflavin which are required for the growth of plants. In addition to that, there are even bacteria like nitrogen fixing bacteria which provide nitrogen to plants. So all these microbes play a very important role in agricultural industry and for growth of plants. Next is sterile product preparation. So obviously when you go for production of sterile product, it is important that you keep the environment clean, that is you maintain the aseptic conditions, and hence in order to ensure whether the aseptic conditions are maintained or not, for that purpose these microbes are required. Next is sterilization. So as you all know, there are many methods available for sterilization like physical, chemical, gaseous, radiation, etc. So whether to just inform or to ensure that the process is going on right or not, there are many indicators which are known as biological monitors, where you use the microbe itself and see whether the process, by that particular process, that microbe is getting killed or not. So for that purpose microbes are required over there. Then steroid biotransformation, it usually includes preparation of many steroids like ergosterol, cholesterol and their byproducts, which is carried out by fermentation process. Next is identification of microorganisms. Now whenever there is new entry of microbe, so its identification is very important depending upon its characteristics, so that we can find out a solution to it or remedy to it. Next is testing of pharmaceuticals. Now what kind of pharmaceuticals are tested before preparation? Obviously raw materials and finished products both are to be tested for microbial contamination. Next is microbiological assays of antibiotics. Whenever we are preparing any antibiotic, then it is necessary that you carry out this microbiological assay in order to ensure the potency of that antibiotic and to find out the purity of that antibiotic. Evaluation of disinfectants. Now there are many disinfectants available in the market, so in order to ensure that which disinfectant is more potent and in smaller concentration it is showing more activity, that can be evaluated with the help of evaluation process by using microbes. Antimicrobial preservative efficacy testing. So whatever antimicrobial agents are available, in order to check their efficacy, it is important to ensure that particular antimicrobial agent is working against the particular microbes. Next is endotoxin testing. Now endotoxins are, in layman language we call them as eggs of bacteria. Now endotoxin, it is important to ensure that endotoxin is not causing fever or any inflammatory responses in that human or other host cells, and if it is, that is to be ensured by this process. Test for support of the sterility assurance system. Now if you are carrying out a sterile product preparation, then it is important to ensure that the area in which you are carrying out this process is sterile enough. That is, if you are carrying out the sterility testing of a product and you are carrying out that process in an open environment, then there are high chances that the microbes which are present in the open environment may contaminate the product, and whatever results you will get, that is not due to the non-sterile product, but that is due to the contamination in the environment. So it is very important to ensure that whatever process you are carrying out, that is to be done in aseptic area, and that particular area is aseptic. So that can be done with the help of these microbes. Thank you.